Welcome to Is Your Way in Your Way podcast, where your host, Cassandra Crawley Mayo, helps you break free from obstacles and live life on your terms. Get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and inspiration. Tune in as we dive into captivating conversations with experts and explore topics that will ignite your passion and drive. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Let's dive in.
To all my listeners, and I'd like to welcome you to Is Your Way in Your Way. And for my new listeners out there, that's actually the name of my book, Is Your Way in Your Way. And that changed my life, actually. But let me share with you what this podcast is all about. It's actually about individuals who are, I say, stuck or complacent, or there's something that you really want to do, but you've not made it, you've not done it. So in other words, this podcast is about individuals living their best life on their terms, basically. And we talk about topics like self-improvement, personal development. And I have a question for you. Have you ever looked at the very thing you thought was holding you back and wondered if it might actually be your greatest gift? My guest today knows this story all too well. Once convinced her voice was a limitation, she's now using it to inspire countless people to reclaim their power and rise beyond perceived barriers. She's a coach, a speaker, an author, and a healer, and she's on a mission to help you master your own life. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss my conversation with Tracy and Abel. Let me introduce her to the stage. Hi, Tracy.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing great, and I thank you so much for being a guest on my show today.
Thank you for having me. I so appreciate it.
Yeah, and my listeners, our topic today is going to be how changing your perspective can change your life. Now, before we get into this conversation with Tracy, before I get into the conversation with Tracy, I want to read her bio so you can get a little understanding of what qualifies her to talk about what we get ready to talk about. Tracy is an intuitive life coach, author of Get Changed, How to Become the Master of Your Own Life, speaker, psychic, Reiki practitioner with a gift for helping others reframe their perceived limitations. Tracy empowers people to see that what they once thought held them back can actually propel them forward. She was born with a cleft palate. She once believed her voice was a barrier, but today it is her greatest gift, her greatest tool for inspiring others to step into their limitless potential. Through her book, coaching, and she even has a podcast, she guides individuals on a journey of self-discovery, healing, and transformation. Welcome again, Tracy, to the Is Your Way in Your Way podcast.
Thank you so much.
Listen, could you tell us about yourself? Tell my listeners about your backstory.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, I was born with a cleft palate and cleft lip. And a cleft palate in particular creates challenges with my speaking voice.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can tell, I sound a bit nasal and can be a little hard to understand. And it's because of the structure and the weak muscles of the palate and the different challenges that creates. And I always was really shy growing up and insecure because I always thought it would limit me. I can't change my voice, so it is what it is. And I was just really insecure. And it didn't help that kids made fun of me and adults, even today sometimes, unfortunately, would make comments like, I can't understand a word you're saying. Or you're going to have to speak up so I can hear you.
Yeah.
And, I let those words get down into my spirit and bring me down. And I just felt limited. I felt like I was always going to be limited because of my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And, fast forward, I didn't do much with my life. I didn't have many goals or dreams. And it wasn't until after my mom passed away in 2018 when I went on this journey of self-discovery, a real spiritual journey. And it was then when I started learning about your belief system and how that can really impact how you show up in the world. And that's when I started making shifts in my life and beliefs.
Listen, tell us, when you went on that journey, what was that like? Explain that journey.
Yes, it was a gradual journey, I would say. I was miserable in my job at the time. And, I had been in that particular working, it was in the corporate world, and I had been in the industry for 26 years, and for this particular company for 17 years. And I was just miserable. It wasn't aligned. And so when my mom passed away, when I was probably at my most miserable point in my job, I started this journey thinking I have to make changes in my life. My best friend is gone, which is my mom, and I didn't know what to do with my life. I was so lost. I felt so alone and miserable. And so I knew I had to make changes because I could not live like that anymore. And so I started by going to church because a friend recommended grief counseling because I was so grief stricken. And I ended up going to church for a while, and it was fantastic. It was exactly what I needed at that time. And then I started feeling like I wanted more. I felt like church is great, but there's more. Like, I'm meant for more. How do I find more? And that's when I really started down more of a spiritual path and started meditating and breath work and just learning about spiritual concepts. And so it was a gradual process, but it was also a process of letting go of things that no longer served me, like drinking alcohol, like watching crime shows all the time that made me anxious. Changing my habits and routines. And so I gradually started shifting into a more spiritual existence.
Okay. So you became so it sounds like it's important of what you hear, what you listen to, also your environment and the people in your circle, because you had mentioned how your environment can support your growth. Would you unpack that for us? What in your environment supported your growth?
Yeah, so I've learned to practice discernment, and what you surround yourself with, who and what you surround yourself with, will impact your life. When I stopped drinking, for example, I pretty much felt like I needed a whole new set of friends because all I did was drink alcohol. It was all around, my social life was all around alcohol, going to happy hour, going wine tasting, anything to do with alcohol. And I had to kind of step away from that group of friends. They were fantastic. There was nothing wrong with them. But I just knew that in order for me to grow, that I had to surround myself with people that didn't drink alcohol, certainly not as much as my friends and I were, and that would challenge me to learn and grow, that would support me in different ways that I was supported before. And so I had to surround myself with new people. And so I started making that shift. And even with the TV that I watched, I started shifting. I watched less and less crime shows. I started watching more uplifting spiritual TV. I'm sorry, the cat and the dog are playing right now. I'm so sorry to hear that. But I started shifting what I consumed on TV. I started watching and listening and reading less news because it would bring me down. So I started shifting my environment. And as I did that, I started becoming more, I want to say happy, more optimistic is probably a better word. And before I was so negative and anxious and fearful. And I started looking forward to a day, started looking forward to, every now and then. I wouldn't watch TV as much either, but I would look forward to watching TV instead of feeling like, okay, who's going to get murdered today? And so it really shifted my whole perspective about my life in general.
Right. And as you said, that perspective you had has actually changed your life.
Yes.
Which is great. So my listeners are hearing from you that, your surroundings are critical, what you listen to, your friends, your environment, and all of that to help you get to where you knew you should be going to. And you said that even going to church, it was helpful, but you also knew from there was still more.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right. Now, you said when you were growing up, you didn't really have any dreams, but yet now you're saying it's so important to listen to your dreams. Why the shift from didn't have any to now listening to them?
Ready to design your dream life? Join Cassandra Crawley Mayo's Create and Design Your Best Life workshop. Break free from self-doubt and obstacles and step into a life of purpose and fulfillment. Click the link in the description to register now. Don't wait. Spaces are limited. Start living your best life today.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, it's funny. I am intuitive, and my intuitive, psychic abilities didn't really emerge a lot until after I was laid off from my miserable job in December 2022. But even growing up, I kind of sensed some things, and one of the things that I sensed was that I was going to be a speaker, and I just had this image of me holding a microphone on a stage in front of people. And I felt like I was going to be some kind of role model to some people. And at the time, I was young, and I thought, why would I ever be a speaker? I can't even talk.
Yeah,
and
right.
I just missed it completely. And I thought, that was odd. And but now that I'm shifting my perspective, it's really it changed my life, and I have more dreams now because I'm more optimistic that I look forward to things. And I know I've learned that the challenges that we're all given and that we all face are for a reason. We're here to learn and grow. Our souls are here to learn and grow and expand. And any challenges that we face, for example, me and my cleft palate, is to help my soul learn and grow. And so I look forward to challenges to some extent, of course, right? I am human. Nobody wants challenges.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
But I know that they're all learning experiences, and I look forward to what I can learn from them. And as far as the dreams, I know, and again, it's a challenge. Our dreams that we have are there for a reason. They're to teach us to learn and grow. And we all have our own dreams, and we're all here to learn different lessons. And I look forward to achieving my dreams because that means I am learning the lessons that I'm here to learn. And so I learn them.
So,
Sorry.
so when you were seeing yourself speaking, right? You saw yourself, you were holding a microphone, and by you seeing yourself, that manifested your speaking. So were people coming to you, or you were going to them? How did you begin to speak? Like what happened that started that?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, when I was laid off from my job in December 2022, I started becoming more psychic. And I was receiving messages to speak and to use my voice in various capacities. And that it was important for me to be seen and heard. And one of the first tasks, if you will, was for me to use my voice through writing a book. And so I started writing this book. I didn't have experience as a writer. My background was in corporate world. It wasn't in writing in any way.
Right.
But I knew that I was being guided to write this book for a reason. And so I started writing this book. And not long after I started writing it, I received a message that I heard and I saw the words, "Get changed, how to become the master of your own life." And I knew that was supposed to be the topic and title of my book. And I thought, oh no. I was recently unemployed. So I'm unemployed, still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And you want me to write a book on mastering life? I think you have the wrong person. But long story short, I learned that the book was not just for readers. It was just as much for me as it was for them, because it was learning about how to step into my power. And I'm so sorry, I got off on a tangent. The question that you asked was...
Well, the question I asked was, you visualize yourself speaking. And so I said, well, how did that come? Did the engagements come to you, or you sought them out? And what I'm hearing is, once you wrote the book, it was like a segue for your speaking.
Absolutely. And I'm just being guided to use my voice, and speaking comes in many forms. Speaking is, includes being on podcasts, the podcast, summits, any kind of speaking opportunity, whether it's traditional or untraditional.
Yes.
That's what I'm being guided to do. And so I'm seeking out these experiences. I also started my own podcast. It's a new podcast, and at first it was a solo podcast just to get me comfortable.
Sure.
Looking on camera, because I was always so shy, and so it's evolving. But it's using my voice, so it's however way I can use my voice is what I'm doing. And sometimes people are coming to me, and oftentimes I'm seeking them out.
Wow, that's incredible. Once you thought that was a limitation, and your self-confidence, and that you indicated when you were growing up, people like, I can't hear a word you're saying, so that just diminished what and maybe that's why you didn't have any dream, because you were so focused. And it sounded like it took your mom, something to happen to shake you, Yeah, I was just speaking with another guest on my podcast, and she said something that I've not heard, and it's so true. She said your brokenness can be like your breakthrough.
Yeah. My mom's death was a catalyst for my transformation. As hard as it was and is, it changed my life for the better.
Right. Yeah. Tracy, you mentioned a couple of times your psychic ability. Is that something you're born with? Is that a skill? Like, why do you believe you have that? And where did that psychic ability come from, you think?
Yeah, my belief is that we are all born with intuitive abilities.
Right.
And we all get that gut feeling, and we know sometimes that something is right or not right or whatever it is. And so we all have that, and we can all develop that intuitive ability. And I know oftentimes a lot of people who are psychic refrain from using that term because there is some kind of like a negative connotation to it. And so they say they're intuitive and not psychic. I personally am not afraid to use that term, but I feel like there is a slight distinction between being intuitive and psychic.
Okay.
Intuitive to me, in my experience, is more of a kind of a gut feeling, whereas psychic abilities are more of being able to see, hear, know, sense, feel things beyond your five senses.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear, for me personally, I hear auditory messages. I see images. I sometimes just know things. I receive impressions,
Mm.
words and feelings. And those are all psychic abilities. And those too are like a muscle. So the more you practice developing them, the stronger they can get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you said that you actually love speaking because you have something to say, right? So tell us what you say when you're speaking. What is that something you have to say?
I have a lot of things to say.
Uh-huh.
I've
Uh-huh.
been 50 years without saying much, so now it's like.
Right. Right. Right.
But, yeah, when I speak, I try to be. I usually speak about personal growth, personal development, self improvement types of things because I'm realizing how important that is.
Mhm.
And it's surprising to me that I never really thought about it before my mom's passing. It
Sure.
just wasn't part of my life. I didn't hang around people that were interested in that, at least that I was aware of. And I just never even gave it any thought. And
Mhm.
once I started down this journey, it's like, wow, it opens up a whole new world. And so I do primarily talk about that. I have, a TikTok where I do videos, and it's
Yeah.
always about personal growth
Yeah.
to, information. And so most of the time it's personal growth related.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen some of them and they're funny. I like them. Yeah. Yeah. It's like a short snippet.
yeah, they're short. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
okay, you just keep them short.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, that's good. Now, give my listeners some practical tips and tools to uncover those beliefs, those habits, actually their mindsets that held people back. So, give us some tips and tools to help uncover that.
Yeah, I think the first thing that is critically important is to become self-aware. To
Okay.
be aware of what you're thinking, what you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling. Be aware of how you feel. Be
Mm-hmm.
aware of your responses to
Mm-hmm.
different situations.
Mm-hmm.
And just becoming aware alone is critically important because once you're aware, then you can start making changes. You can start questioning them. You're questioning why you're responding the way you did, or how you feel the way you feel, and start digging into that. You uncover those beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so becoming self-aware is the number one tip that I have. So once you become self-aware and start uncovering the beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
you challenge them
Mm-hmm.
and reflect on them, kind of figure out where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, let's see here. I used to tell myself that I'm just going to stay quiet because nobody can hear or understand me anyway. And, your beliefs are powerful. And so, what you believe, you think.
Yeah.
What you think, you feel.
Mm-hmm.
What you feel, you do. And
Mm-hmm.
what you do produces results. And
Yeah.
those results reinforce your original belief. So now I
Mm-hmm.
would tell myself, I'm just going to stay quiet because nobody can hear or understand me anyway. I thought there was no point in talking,
Yeah.
which made
Okay.
me feel discouraged and unheard.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yeah, and it made me feel discouraged and unheard. And I decided to keep quiet, which reinforced my belief that my voice
Sure.
didn't matter.
Right.
And so once I identified that belief, I started to challenge it. So
Mm.
I asked myself, is it really true that nobody can hear or understand you? Is it
Mhm.
possible that some people can?
Sure.
And so challenge that belief. Is it universally true, or is it
Yeah.
only true because you're seeing it from your own lens?
Right.
And then once you understand, okay, it's probably not universally true, it's my own, negative or limiting belief,
Sure.
then you reframe it. And you reframe it to something that is more empowering.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I came up with my affirmation, my new belief of, I have something valuable to say and I'm worthy of being heard.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you repeat that and tell yourself that, consistently, whatever affirmation, whatever it is you come up with.
Mhm.
And it kind of trains your brain to actually believe it.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
challenging your belief.
Yeah. Tracy, you did something courageous. I think you said in 2022, did you leave your job?
Yeah, I was laid off from my job.
You were laid off. Okay. And from that point, that's when you started your business. Okay.
Probably, yeah. It took me about a year to start because I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up.
That's right. That's right. Right. And I'm asking that because there are my listeners, many of them are not enjoying what they're doing and know that they're called for something else. And sometimes it may take a layoff, you know, or something for you to figure out, okay, now what? So you have time, you have to grieve over it. And of course, many of us work. I know I did because I enjoyed what I did, but I knew I was gonna get a paycheck, you
Right.
know, and I fretted. I'm like, now, I don't want to be foolish now. I don't want to leave a job and I don't have a job. But then for your instance, you were laid off. And that's happening a lot of places now. It's happening a lot. And when that happened, your mom wasn't around. So it's like, so what do I do?
Yeah.
Right. And then you had a friend that helped you, right, to get through this. Was that the friend that invited you to church?
She recommended grief counseling.
Okay.
She didn't go to church at the time, but she recommended grief counseling, and I found a grief share, which happened to be at a church.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got you. Okay. Okay. I have one more question.
Yeah.
And I saw on here about discovering your purpose. Tell my listeners, how can they discover their purpose?
Well, that's a matter of, I feel like, going within and doing, for me, it's a matter of doing spiritual practices. So I meditate, I do breath work, I try and quiet my mind. We all, most of us have a little chatterbox in our mind, right? And when we can quiet our mind, then we're able to receive guidance or sparks of inspiration. And in that place of rest, in that place of peace, when you can start receiving information as to what is a good next step for you. And that's what helps me discover my purpose, is being able to connect with the divine, with God, with the universe, and receiving this information with guidance. And I know without a doubt that my purpose is to use my voice in the capacities and to empower others, empower women specifically.
Right. Okay.
Exactly how that's going to play out, I don't know. I don't know the how. I don't know the what. Like, I know this is what I'm here to do. And I'm following my intuition and the guidance that I receive and trusting the process along the way.
Right. Okay. Because your mission is to empower one to embrace their personal growth and break self-imposed limitations and live their best life. So that's your mission.
It is.
Yeah.
And we all want to live our best life, and we all are going to be faced with challenges. And it's a matter of how we respond to the challenges.
Sure.
And really being consistent with pursuing what it is that we want. We are the creators of our life. Like, we create our life. If you're not happy, I was miserable for so long. I didn't really do anything about it. I was living very passively. Like, God, please just change my life for me. And that was part of my learning that I'm still learning. I'm learning how to step into my power and create the life that I want. And that's part of the lesson that I'm here to learn.
That's great. Tracy, how can my listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way is probably through my website. I have all of my social links on there, and more about me there, and connect with you there if you'd like.
Okay. I can't wait till they look at your TikTok stuff. Yeah, they're gonna really like that. That's interesting. You remember that guy? Somebody said to you that you don't act the way you look.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that transformative to you? When they said that, did you say, well, it's funny because when you're talking to people over the phone and you meet them, you're like, I would have never thought you looked like that. How did you feel when he said that?
Yeah, honestly, okay, so a little backstory for those that didn't see that video. I was at an airport probably 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, and I was dressed up, it was for work, and I was dressed in business attire, but I was kind of feminine. I loved dressing up and looking cute.
Okay.
And I was at the airport, and I struck up a conversation with a man, and we were talking, and right before he had to leave, he said, you don't act the way you look. And I knew what he meant, because I knew, I agreed with him. I knew exactly what he meant. He meant that, externally, I was cute, I was pretty, but my personality was very, I want to say aggressive and kind of negative in a way. It was because I was not aligned. I was unhappy with my job. And so I think it really just came out. And I wasn't just, light, free-flowing Tracy that you see today. I was very, type A, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just not me. I was very, television, business-focused, and it wasn't me. It wasn't aligned. And so I knew that,
Okay. Oh, my goodness, you have evolved.
I have.
I know. That's a beautiful thing. And my listeners, they're like, shoot, I can evolve too. I don't want to wait till I get laid off to do what I want to do. Or maybe I did get laid off and now it's time for me to do what I really want to do.
Yeah. We lived this life once. And in hindsight, if I were to do it over again, I would have quit my job years ago. I would have quit. I was so miserable. Granted, you have to be responsible. We all have bills to pay and need a roof over our head. But I would say if you're in the position like I was, miserable with your job, then consider what it's costing you. Is it costing your relationships, your friendships, your happiness? If it is, then just start thinking about little steps that you can take to start making changes. If you're dreaming of doing something, go to conferences or immerse yourself in that world to see, make sure it's aligned, and put yourself around those people. Just take baby steps to get in there, because it will be something to look forward to, and eventually, hopefully sooner than later, you'll get to where you want to be, and your content is going to grow, and you'll be happier.
Yeah. Wow. What a closure for my listeners. Yeah. And Tracy, thank you so much. And my listeners, I know Tracy shares some things that have resonated with you. And if you have friends and kind of think about, their perspective and how Tracy thought that her cleft palate was a limitation, but listen to her now. She, you have to stop her from talking. She keeps going and going and going because she has a lot to say. So I want to thank you again. And as I tell my listeners, I say, God bless you. And bye for now. Thanks so much, Tracy, for your wisdom.
Thank you so much. Many blessings.
Mhm.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you've been enjoying our empowering conversations, make sure you don't miss out on future episodes of Is Your Way in Your Way podcast. Stay in the loop with all the latest episodes. Join our mailing list over at CassandraCrawley.com. And before you go, hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe now. Until next time, let's get ready to live your best life.